Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com, and today I show you the best whiskies from 25 years I'm into the business. Yeah, 25 years is quite a long time, and a lot of whiskies of those years are already gone, either drunken or, well, in the cellars of the collectors. And today I want to show you whiskies which are still available and which I found to be the best whiskies, well, which passed me over the last 25 years. There's one whiskey in between them. It's the first here. I opened when I took my 1000th video, but in German language. So this is the Black Bowmore, 42 years of age, and this is one of the whiskies which impressed me most. Not in particular this bottle, but the first one. I show you a picture here of the old bottle, and we sold them in the beginning for 75 euros. Well, and then prices rose over the years up to 2,800 euros. And this one started at 3,800 when I opened that bottle. And well, today I found $16,000 or $20,000 asked for such a bottle. If it's closed, this one is opened. And there's still for 10 grand whiskey in it. And the last time I sipped on this whiskey was when I succeeded in the world record in electric driving in the longest distance in 24 hours, including recharging. 2,424 kilometers equals, I think, 1,509 miles in 24 hours with the Tesla P85D. This was the last time I had a sip on that, and well, it's old enough that it's not getting a lot worse when it's in the bottle. Younger whiskies tend to oxidize, but those old whiskies have already oxidized in the cask. Lots of oxygen in the cask for oxidization. The next one is the Lagavulin, 16 years of age. Everybody knows that bottle if you're interested in whiskey. And this one is a particular old one, I think from the late 1990s, because it still shows this red seal, which was given up 2017, I think. But there as well the Royal Veranda on top, I think, which is no longer on it. So this is an old one, and in the next weeks I intend to taste this old one in comparison with the actual Lagavulin 16 years bottle, see which differences are. This one was the first I took a video of. It's already more than 10 years ago when I published it on YouTube in 2007. It's, well, it was horrible, at least. But I took that video twice again, I think, last time with Benedict. And, well, but it's the first one. It's still on YouTube and collected 250,000 views, something. So no, not that much. Or have a look, but you won't understand it. It's German. So these two bottles are, I think, the both two most impressive whiskies I had in the last 25 years. So I put them in front, and now there is a lot of other whiskies coming up, which are more or less affordable. The first one is the Balvenie 12 years double wood in the 25th anniversary edition. This was especially bottled for us, and I always suggest you should try a Balvenie double wood 12 years if you're new into whiskey, because this one is only 40% ABV. It's finished or has a second maturation in ex-sherry cask, so it's smoother, more fruit in it. So it's pleasant on the tongue. It's, well, one of the most pleasing, easy whiskies, and it's from Glenfiddich, the company behind Glenfiddich, William Grant and Sons. Glenfiddich always runs on maximum capacity, and Balvenie a lot less, but they increased speed lately. So this is the first one of the easy drinking sipping whiskies, and the second one is the Glenmorangie. There had been an old one called Portwood Finish, and I show you a picture here, and is one of the first digital cameras from Kodak. We took that photo with, and so it's quite a lot of pixel to see. And this was replaced by the Quinta Ruban, and it's 12 years of age, and this is a portwood finish. So the Balvenie is a sherrywood finish, and the Quinta Ruban is a portwood finish. Port is the equivalent to sherry, but coming over just over the border from Portugal or from Spain. Several grapes, white grapes, red grapes, with a lot of oxidization without, and so on. The Quinta Ruban shows a smoother alcohol because the stills are that high, and the casks, the port wine casks, show more intensity. So it has really a different character, but is as well easy drinking. But it has a higher ABV, 46%. So this is a little bit more for the experienced user. Both bottles are really affordable and widely available. And the third one is really a high-priced one. And I'm sorry, I do not have the box any longer. It's the Macallan, 18 years of age, sherry cask maturation. And this one is known as the Rolls-Royce among the whiskies. Macallan, very famous, if not the most famous distillery in the world, Scotch whiskey distillery in the world. They just built a new one because the distillery, because sales rose that extremely, they weren't able to deliver or to supply the whiskies, the aged whiskies, in the last years. So they issued a new series, the 1824 series, which is the founding date of Macallan, which was called Gold, Amber, Sienna, Ruben. But they didn't show an age statement. This was discontinued this year, and there will be more aged whiskies in the future because they reopened the second still house in 2008, where there are, I think, 4 more or 6 more stills in it, and the new distillery started production now. So the demand for the blends produced inside the Edrington Group, which is famous grouse, is no longer that high, that there will be more aged whiskies from the actual stocks left over for further maturation for the aged whiskies. If you can't afford this 18 years of age, and probably you won't find it on the shelves because it's so rare, it's a 350, 400 euros, dollars, pounds. You should try the 12-year-old, the sherry maturation version. There is a double cask out on the market and a triple cask, very new, which shows the maturation in 3 different casks: ex-bourbon, ex-sherry from American white oak, and ex-sherry from European oak. Very complex whiskey. So you should try to find the 12-year-old sherry cask, which has risen a lot in price over the years. Well, then you do not have to buy that extremely expensive 18-year-old. So those are the leading whiskies, affordable, matured in particular casks, very much recommended here. So these are those. The next one are the peated ones. And the peated ones show a more or less strong smokiness. And the first is the Bowmore 15 years. There are better Bowmores on the market. I know that. But this is the one which impressed myself most, because there had been a single malt called The Darkest from Bowmore. It came out in 1997, and it didn't show an age statement on it. It has a round tube, The Darkest, and it was particular 14 years of age, I think, and they selected the darkest casks from Bowmore. And though it showed a lot of sherry intensity, a lot of fruitiness, of oak, of maturation. And I remember that because I tasted it in that week when Lady Di died. So this left an impression on me. And then the bottle was some year replaced by a 15-year Darkest. And after some years, I think 2016, 2015, they took the Darkest away, and now it's just the 15-year-old. It's still one of the intense whiskies from Bowmore and aged. So this is the one most closely to that bottle. There is a 18-year-old on the market, very good quality. The 17-year of age, I don't think if it's still available. It was there in the travel value, but I think stocks are gone now. The 25 years of age, but those casks do not show that intensity in sherry. So very difficult. There's a 15-year Golden and Elegant on the market, which doesn't show the sherry influence that much. The next one is a very special one. Where's the bottle? Here's the bottle. It's the Ardbeg 10, written in letters 10. And this was, in former times, a 10-year-old written in figures. And the distillery was then owned by Allied Distillers, later on Allied Domecq, I think. And then it was sold to Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy, Glenmorangie PLC first, and Glenmorangie PLC was sold to Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy. And this was the first one, those with the letters on it, which was bottled, from my point of view, my knowledge, unchill filtered. They increased the ABV to 46%, and this bottle happened to be the bottle, the first bottle sold in major quantities without chill filtration. And it's extremely smoky, but the taste is quite sweet and elegant. And this is the flagship of Ardbeg. It's always available. And there had been others, the 17-year-old with 40% ABV, long gone. Then there had been a 25-year-old and a 30-year-old. All those costs, in the moment, incredible amount of money. And then the Lord of the Isles, the 25 years old, and there had been in 1975. But all those were from the former proprietor, and all had a lower ABV. And the new one, the 10, then the Ugedal, Arignam Beicht, all those came after that, all unchill filtered, and they set a point in the market with the unchill filtered whiskies, and therefore, together with the extreme taste of that whiskey, it's one of the best of the last 25 years. The next one is another very, very stinky whiskey. It's the Laphroaig. There's a 10-year-old on the market, which is sold forever, I can remember. And that 10 years of age, there's a writing on the tube or on the label, you love it or you hate it. And that's right. A lot of people hate it because it's so phenolic, stinky, smoky, incredible. But the taste itself is very smooth because the pot still has a very narrow transition between the pot and the neck, so that the alcohol is recirculated very, very good, and a very smooth whiskey. And it's matured in ex-bourbon casks and refill casks, so it's very, very smooth but stinky. And then they added a finished whiskey, the quarter cask, where they finished the whiskey for a shorter period of time in smaller casks, quarter casks, which contain 125 liters, if I'm right. And on top of that, they brought out the triple cask, the triple wood. And then they used, in addition, a sherry cask for adding even more flavors into that whiskey. And now this whiskey is stinky, smoky, extremely phenolic, and shows this intensity from the casks. So this is a outstanding whiskey, still available. So first I thought it would be only for a few days or a few months to come, but then it stabilized and the whiskey is available widely, and it's highly, highly recommended by me. So the next one in this series is the Highland Park, 18 years of age. And this is the new bottle with the new markings on it, Nordic runes or whatever it is. The content is still the same. It's lightly smoky, matured as well in ex-sherry casks. A decent amount of ex-sherry cask whiskies is in this bottle, and it's 18 years of age. Extremely complex, deep, old, wonderful. And the bottle was not available for quite a long time because they oversold their stocks and needed to wait until enough whiskey came after. And prices rose a lot. Today it's available, but I think it's above 100, so quite expensive. If you aren't willing to spend that much money, switch over to the 12 years of age. It's 70-80% of this whiskey you can figure out in the 12 years old. And that one is really cheap. A third of that bottle, I think. So last but not least is the Talisker. It's pronounced Talisker. It's no Gaelic word. Gaelic is always pronounced on the second syllable. Ardbeg, Bowmore, and this is Talisker. It's a Nordic word, and this is the Distiller's edition. And this is a whiskey I tend to announce it as one of my very, very best whiskies I like, because Talisker has a very intense, sharp, peppery, chili catch taste, which is said to be from the special line arm on that pot stills. You're able to find pictures of the Talisker distillery in our whiskey database on Whisky.com. And this whiskey is the Distiller's edition, which is additionally matured in Amontillado sherry casks, I think. And this gives the whiskey an additional fruity, oaky note. So that on one side you have this light smoky aroma, 25 ppm. Then the sharpness, the spiciness of the brand itself, of the whiskey itself, the distillery character, and then the finishing sherry cask influence on this. So this is one of my very, very best. So it's among the first 10 whiskies I like most. So this is the medium range, mostly affordable, which will give you an ideal expansion of your whiskey collection. There are whiskies on the market from those distilleries which will taste better. Of course, I think an Ardbeg, Lord of the Isle, will beat this 10 years of age. But first, it's not available, so I'm not showing it here, or not that easily available. Second, it's so extremely expensive that I'm not the one propagating, saying this one is the best one and the rest is crap. You can forget about that. So here we go. And unfortunately, there's this green screen behind me. And whenever such a wonderful whiskey brownish bottle stands in front of the green screen, it gets this weird looking. So here we go, and now we're going to the finishing line, and this one was very impressionate to me, because this one was among the first bottles which came out when the Glenlivet distillery was sold by Allied Distillers to the new preparator. It was closed for several years and then it was reopened again. And the first one which came out was a 15-year-old called Revival in a green bottle, or a green tube and green label on that very dark brown whiskey. And the Revival showed this is revived from the mothballing. And the 18 years of age is smoother, more complex, more rewarding for me, but not that intense and foreground and sherry intense, distillery intense. This one is settled, is older, so I like this one most. And the 15-year-old Revival is gone because there had been the time of the shutdown of the distillery, and all those bottles are sold. And if there are some on the market, they're extremely expensive because there's no resupply of that for the upcoming years. We'll take another 5 or so. And the 18 years of age is now coming to the end of supply. So the prices will rise a lot. There's a 21-year-old Parliament on the market. But I think this one is, from the sherry and the cask influence, well over the top. It's for the connoisseur, who is used to have this intense sherry matured whiskies. The Parliament is okay, but for somebody not that deep into that matter, it's, I think, a little bit over the top. So the Allardyce, called after the entrepreneur which founded the distillery and sold the whiskey to the red light district in Aberdeen directly. So the 18 years of age Allardyce, very, very good. And then here is one which I'm unhappily not having it here. It's the Glenlivet 18 years. I tasted sometime the 12-year-old and I was astonished how good that was, even when it's the most often sold whiskey in the US. So that single malt whiskey, Scotch single malt whiskey in the US. And even having that massive sales volume, it's incredible good. And I tasted that, and then a parcel we sent out to our customers came back with a crack in it, and we smelled the whiskey coming out from that parcel. And I said, this is incredible good. How good that is. And I opened the parcel, and what came out, a Glenlivet 18 years of age with a crack in it. I rescued the rest from the bottle, and this was really one of the top 10 I had in my life. So the Glenlivet 18 years of age, extremely well done. A lot of sherry cask influence. And unfortunately, it's not here on the cask. I didn't manage to have it here in time. The next one is again widely available, and it's the Dell Mini. The normal Dell Mini has a white label with blue writings on it, is 15 years of age and is one of the cheapest 15 years old single malt whiskey from Scotland. And it's always available over the decades, and I think it has the best price-value relation that you can have in a Scotch whiskey. And yeah, there is a better one than that. It's the Distiller's Edition, which is sherry cask finished. And in the start, people didn't recognize that bottle. They looked for the normal 15 years of age, and this vintage was something weird. And so they didn't buy that. So from time to time, there was a sale going on trying to get rid of those old vintages. And with those sales, people got aware of that bottle. And in the meantime, the demand for this bottle is wonderfully high. And it's a very smooth, elegant, rewarding, balanced whiskey, not that deeply sherry influenced as the Allardyce, but with 15 years of age. It's vintage 2002, bottle 2017. It's rewarding as well, sipping. It's dangerously sipping. So this is the Dell Mini. And then there is a bottle standing for a lot of other bottles from the Glenrothes distillery, and I tried to, because there's this greenish color behind, and I tried to put this white plastic behind it. Probably it looks better, I don't know. These bottles, this is the vintage 2001, and shows how a distillery which in former times only produced for the Cutty Sark blend was able to jump from 0 to 100 or to 70 in a very short time, and then running up to 100%. It's incredible. And what's the reason for that? Well, it's the concentration on vintages. And the first vintages I had was in 1995 or so. Then afterwards, more and more came out in the 80s, 70s. I think I've never seen one of the 60s. And those vintages are always small batch, and they carry 3 age statements on it. When the spirit was distilled, this is the year written on the cask. Then when the casks were selected and married together, there's a second date. And the third is when they were bottled. Well, if the marrying vat is too big, bigger than 700 liters, then this does not count to the maturation period. So you have to look carefully at the dates, but don't worry if it's a year younger or older. Those whiskies are really very well selected. And in our times, there's a new one without an age statement or a vintage on it. It's called Glenrothes Vintage. Without a vintage age statement? Yeah. So a little bit marketing overload on that, but still smells and tastes really good. But vintage means you have to write a year on it. Yeah, so very, very good whiskies, which left a hefty influence on me. And yeah, the old vintages are very expensive these days, really. And this one is, well, the last one, but one which gives the heftiest impression on me of all of them. It's a Glenfarclas. It's a privately owned distillery which always had enough money to distill whiskey. There are no vintages which are not where they haven't produced. So privately owned means you do not have controllers, you do not have shareholders which demand for dividends or so. You're able to produce and to store away and lay them to rest and bring them out. And this is the 1993, the year we went into business. We founded the company, started to send whiskey out via mail order. And from this bottle we have, I thought, a few thousand bottles we got. And Ben did a video of one of the casks we selected, where he stands beside the cask and tested it. So the environment, the smell in this Dunwich warehouse is extreme, and as well as the taste of this 1993. There are others 1993 on the market in your country, which you can buy. Glenfarclas, definite buy, and one of the distilleries which left one of the best impressions of whiskey distilleries on me. Thank you very much for watching. This was the best whiskies from 25 years. And yeah, they might not be the best, but they left the best remembrance in my brain, the best reward for my steady search for the best whiskey. And well, there will be better ones. There will be better ones from the exact distillery or from other distilleries, but these here were the best for me. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. There's more to come.